Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tiara Street Park and the 2024 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count. My name, as you heard, is Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum, and I'm the CEO of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. Before I begin, I want to thank my fellow speakers, Chair of the Board of Supervisors and our Commission Chair, Lindsay Horvath, Mayor Karen Bass, Council President Paul Krikorian, not here yet, huh? He's on his way. Supervisor Katherine Barger, Chief Lourdes Castro Ramirez, HUD Regional Administrator, is Jason here yet? Yes, there you are. USICH Regional Advisor Helen Schneider, and we thank also our lived experience Special Advisor and Board Chair Sean Pleasance. He'll be speaking tonight about really what brings us all here this evening. LAHSA performs the largest scale annual point-in-time homeless count in the nation, as required by HUD. The homeless count is one of many, but nevertheless an important resource for understanding the scope of homelessness in LA County and the city of Los Angeles in particular. Over the next 3 nights, thousands of volunteers will walk and drive their neighborhoods to collect the critical data that helps produce the unsheltered count estimate for our continuum of care. After the unsheltered count is completed, we will share this data with our partners at the University of Southern California, who will combine this data with data from the sheltered and youth counts to produce this year's homeless count estimate. LAHSA will reveal the results of the homeless count in late spring or early summer this year. For the 2024 homeless count, LAHSA is improving upon quality assurance processes from last year's count as we seek to create a more accurate and transparent homeless count, and I'm sure you all appreciate that. This year's improvements include continued use of the ESRI's Homeless Count app, which volunteers found to be user-friendly in the previous year. Our partners at ESRI have introduced a geofencing pilot in the app that will alert volunteers if they go outside their boundaries or assigned census tract. They also enhance location tracking within the app to ensure that volunteers know that they have fully completed the census tract, which will be very helpful. And I've been out there and we've also wondered if we were completed, so that's going to be great. And ESRI has improved our real-time dashboard, which will be at LAHSA, and I just was at the headquarters and saw the group of folks that are there and will be there till the last numbers come in, to make sure that the team is clear and sure that they have successfully inputted their data. LAHSA is also continuing our quality assurance process that provides volunteers with a paper map and tally sheets. And that's just in case there are technical issues or problems with the app. They also will take photographs and send information electronically to back up all data. If a census tract data is not submitted by noon of the next day, the tract will be considered uncounted and will deploy a makeup team from LAHSA. We at LAHSA could not complete this count alone. So before I pass the mic on to our next speaker, I want to thank all the volunteers who have stepped up to assist with the count. And I would also like to say that we need additional volunteers over the next few days. Tomorrow is night 2, Thursday is night 3, and we really would appreciate if you've not already volunteered, please go to theycountwillyou.org to sign up. Now, it is my esteemed honor to introduce the chair of our commission and the Board of Supervisors, Lindsay Horvath.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adams-Kellum, for your strong leadership and for making tonight possible. Hello, Los Angeles. We are so excited to kick off the homeless count here in Los Angeles and make sure that every person is counted. I was here in the Valley last year, weeks after taking office as the supervisor for the 3rd District. Now I serve as chair both of the board and of our LAHSA commission. And I am joined on that commission by the one and only Mayor Bass, as well as my dear colleague, Supervisor Katherine Barger. We all appointed ourselves to the LAHSA commission because we all believe that in order to do better, we have to be accountable. And showing up to hold LAHSA accountable to the expectations of our community is exactly what we're doing. We must build more housing urgently, and we must cut through red tape to deliver results. Last year, Los Angeles County prevented thousands of people from falling into homelessness, and we moved thousands more both into interim housing and permanent supportive housing. These are thousands of lives impacted and made possible in large part through funding of Measure H. Thousands of lives stabilized and supported, real people getting another chance. Now, we know that's not enough, and with our count showing us last year that more than 55,000 of our neighbors are without shelter in Los Angeles County, we also know that these successes can't be ignored in the work that we have done, but we also can't ignore that we must invest more in homelessness prevention, and that starts with preventing evictions in Los Angeles County. Once someone loses the safe space they call home, it is much harder and much costlier to house and support them. If we can't stop the pipeline of those falling into homelessness, we'll continue to be challenged by this crisis year after year. So I'm glad we're working arm in arm, not only to compassionately meet the needs of our homeless community today, but to widen our safety net to prevent the vulnerably housed from being homeless tomorrow. We have an obligation to leverage this moment to create lasting change. And our shared emergency declarations and our united leadership from city to county are the catalysts to deliver change. And this is the change that Angelenos expect and they deserve. It's what our unhoused neighbors deserve, and that's why we're all here tonight. And I, too, want to thank all of the volunteers who will make sure that everyone counts this week. When you show up to count, you show that people matter in Los Angeles County, that we care, and that a different future is possible. When you show up to count, you are part of the solution. And if you are so inspired that you want to continue this work with us, we hope that you'll come into the work of serving our unhoused, because we are also hiring up at LAHSA, we're hiring up in our service providers, and we need your help and expertise there too. Let's keep it up, Los Angeles. We have a lot of work to do, and we will do better when we work together. And no one embodies that better than our partner locking arms to make a difference, our partner, Mayor Bass.
Good evening, everyone. I can't believe it has been a year. It seems like it was just a few months that we were here, and as our chair of the Board of Supervisors mentioned, I think both of us had just been in office for a few weeks before the count was implemented, and I believe our new CEO of LAHSA was brand new as well. I think a lot has been accomplished in a year. I think the dedication of everybody that works to house Angelenos has really been stepped up with a sense of urgency, a sense of camaraderie, and also we have made very significant inroads. We do have concerns, however, because we know when the COVID protections ended, we know that this year we had the eviction moratorium in, we had other protections that ended, but at the same time, we also were quick on the city level as well as the county level to institute renter protections, eviction protections. The Mayor's Fund, which is an independent organization, has started an entire effort to prevent evictions, and I believe in September there were about 30,000 evictions at the court. Now, that doesn't mean that 30,000 people will wind up being unhoused, but clearly those are most at risk. The Mayor's Fund has been out meeting with people in those zip codes with the lowest income who most might be at greater risk. And so when we go out and when we do the count this year, I am very excited that we will have renewed interest in volunteers. As I've gone around the city this year, everybody says, what can I do? What role can I play? How can I get involved? Well, this is a perfect way to get involved, to participate in the count over the next 3 days. And so I'll be anxious to see the progress that we're making, but I can just say by the leadership that is here, the president of our city council, Paul Krikorian, Supervisor Katherine Barger, the chair of our Board of Supervisors, representatives from HUD, representatives from the Interagency Council, with all of the leaders united and committed to make sure that we can get Angelenos off the street and into housing. And I look forward to the work that we're going to do over the next 3 days. Thank you very much. And I believe next is Supervisor Barger. Our Supervisor, Katherine Barger.
When I hear you say a year, I really do feel what a difference a year makes. It is an honor to be a part of this, and this is my new district, and it's such an honor to work with President Krikorian on this issue, because there's no doubt in my mind that this problem is not only impacting the people that are suffering on the streets, but the communities that they are living in. Our county truly appreciates the city's partnership to address the most pressing issues that we are facing. I've been proud to serve alongside you and Supervisor Horvath on LAHSA as commissioners because, as Chair Horvath said, accountability begins with us. And my frustration is that the city blames the county blames the city. We all blame LAHSA. No, this is pre-us. They all blame LAHSA, but the buck stops with us. And so I truly do appreciate the partnership and the fact that you, Chair Horvath, are willing to stand tall, to accept responsibility, as am I, as stewards of Measure H, to make sure that we get the money out there. We all recognize how important the collaboration is to make a meaningful difference on our streets. As local government agencies, we're doing our part to ensure people in need receive shelter, services, and supportive housing. But government cannot and will not solve this alone. We need community members to lend a hand. That's why the annual homeless count is so crucial. So to all the volunteers with us today, thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your schedule to make a difference. And also thank you to LAHSA's team, amazing team, for your work to galvanize residents for this important count. And thank you to the North Hollywood community and Council President Krikorian for your dedication and partnership. This is a community that really cares about solutions. I applaud your willingness to step up to the plate, to partner with the county, city, and stakeholders to address the homelessness crisis head on. I cannot underscore how critical this count is. Each year, this census helps us better understand where people are experiencing homelessness and where they are living across our entire county. The data that we collect will allow us to strategically direct resources to communities to help people access shelter and, more importantly, also the services that oftentimes are lacking. We all know the last few years were especially challenging for our communities when existing issues were exacerbated by the pandemic. Today's count will help us more fully understand the size and scope of the issue, not just in North Hollywood, but across the entire region. As your supervisor, I remain committed to deploying the county's full strength and resources to address this humanitarian crisis. I will continue to push for governance reform within our homeless system, develop and build new housing, and advocate for mental health services to get people the care that they deserve. I know that I won't be able to do this alone. Your efforts and involvement are more important than ever, so thank you, all the volunteers, for getting involved. And I would like to continue to do our part and encourage you to connect with one of the incredible nonprofit partners who are the boots on the ground every day. While we're doing the homeless count, they are each and every day serving those in need. So I would encourage you, once you're done counting, get involved. And make sure you have your voices heard by getting involved in county and city government. But most of all, thank you for lending a hand to this important cause tonight. We've heard it already, but it bears repeating. We count because they count. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Los Angeles City County Council President Paul Koretz for a few words. Paul.
Well, thank you very much, Supervisor Barger. Welcome to the 2nd Council District, everybody. We're delighted to have you here. And let me just reinforce the words that Supervisor Barger just shared about the new era that we've entered now. And Chair Horvath and Supervisor Barger, you have been such extraordinary partners of the City of Los Angeles. And Mayor Bass, you have brought a new level of leadership around homelessness that we have not previously seen. And it's not just homelessness. In just about every issue, we have been able to lock arms with our partners and other levels of government in a way that really has been unprecedented. I've been around long enough to remember a time when, believe it or not, supervisors and council members and mayors didn't always get along 100%. But we have locked arms, and the results are, clear to see. And when we look around at the progress that's already being made, that's thanks to the leadership of Mayor Bass and all of our partners who have embraced this really important effort. We're making, it may not seem like it sometime to some of our constituents, but we are making extraordinary progress when it comes to tackling this challenge of a lifetime of addressing our homelessness crisis here in Southern California. We've built interim shelter. We built 17,000 beds of interim shelter in the city of Los Angeles. We have projects totaling over 10,000 units of affordable housing that were submitted to the planning department in the last year alone, and more than half of those are already approved, with more coming every day. We're building 22,000 units of new housing every year, and we're building more and we're building faster. Thanks again to the work that we've done in the council and to Mayor Bass's leadership in expediting the production of affordable housing. More is coming all the time. And that's part of the prevention of homelessness effort that Supervisor Horvath described. Another part of it is ensuring that people in need in the city, people who need mental health care, people who need care for their substance use disorders, are able to access it. And that's another reason that this homelessness count is so important every year, because the city of Los Angeles doesn't have the ability or the funding or even the jurisdiction to really address issues around mental health and substance abuse. The homeless count gives us an opportunity to go to Washington, to go to Sacramento, to describe to our partners in other levels of government, this is the degree of the challenge that we're facing. Please help us to address it. And I think it shows the progress that we're making in many respects. Here in my district, in the interim housing that we've built just in the last few years, we've been able to bring over 1,000 people into shelter and out from the streets. Our Homeless Services Navigation Center here in the 2nd Council District has serviced over 2,000 people who just drop in. They have the opportunity to be connected to services. So that progress needs to continue, but we can only fix what we can measure. And if we don't have an accurate count, we won't be able to identify what works, what doesn't work. We won't be able to describe the degree of the problem with any degree of accuracy. The homeless count gives us the ability to do that, and I'm so grateful not only to LAHSA, but to all of my partners in government, and especially to the thousands of ordinary Angelenos who are volunteering over the course of the next few days to ensure that we have this data that we so critically need. It makes a difference. So thank you to everyone who's volunteered already, and hopefully to everyone who still will over the next couple of days.
Hello. Thank you for letting me speak to you today. My name is Sean Pleasance. I am co-chair of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority's Lived Experience Advisory Board, independent advocate for the unhoused, and a Van Nuys resident. Last year, the homeless count showed that on any given night, we had over 75,000 people living on the streets of Los Angeles County. I'm grateful that I'm no longer one of them. Having spent over 10 years on the streets of Los Angeles, I know all too well what that means. The daily struggle for food, water, shelter, safety, hygiene, addiction, hunger, health, self-worth, and hope. The feeling of isolation, even when I was surrounded by people, because I thought no one wanted to look at me. Just over 4 years ago, I would have been preparing my tent and belongings for the cold and darkness of night. Did you know that every day 5 people experiencing homelessness lose their lives to the streets? On many occasions, I was nearly one of those painful statistics. I was fortunate to be able to find help and get connected to resources. It was difficult and far from perfect. I lost so much of my life during that time. But I have so much gratitude that my husband and I survived, and today we're thriving and doing fine. I remember many times while living on the street in Koreatown at 7th and Hobart, thinking, would anybody know or care if I were to die? I often felt unworthy or undeserving of help. You never know who you're helping by counting. I was valedictorian of my high school. I'm a Yale graduate, and I worked on Wall Street and owned my own business, and I felt undeserving of help. I no longer feel that way as I stand here kicking off the 2024 homeless count. I know that someone cares, and that I and everyone else experiencing homelessness are worthy of being brought inside safe. Please join me today and also over the next few days in counting, and invite friends and family to count, because we all count. Thank you for volunteering. Let me just say, counting allows us to do many things. And for me, I guess what's important is it allows us to allocate our resources, know where the needs are, connect people to the services, and more importantly, improve the efficiency of our systems. Thank you. I am now deeply honored to introduce you to Lourdes Castro Ramirez of the Mayor's Office.
Mr. Pleasance, thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you so much for reminding us why we do what we do. As mentioned, I'm Lourdes Castro Ramirez, and I serve as the Chief of Housing and Homelessness for Mayor Karen Bass. Homelessness among the Latino community has been increasing in Los Angeles. Last year, Latino homelessness increased by 8% from the prior year. It's important to ensure that our community is supported in our efforts and also engaged in the solutions. Tonight, I will summarize the mayor's remarks in Spanish and ask the Spanish-speaking Angelenos to join us in this vital effort. Muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Lourdes Castro Ramírez y soy la jefa de vivienda y soluciones para la alcaldesa Karen Bass. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos en este importante esfuerzo, el conteo de personas sin hogar en Los Ángeles. Este conteo también se está llevando a cabo a nivel nacional y queremos que todos se unan a este esfuerzo, ya que se llevará a cabo hoy, en esta noche, mañana y el jueves. Esta es una excelente manera de obtener la información que nos brindará los recursos adecuados, tal como albergue y servicios de apoyo a nuestros vecinos sin hogar. Gracias otra vez a todos los voluntarios que están participando hoy. Este esfuerzo nos ayuda a lograr un objetivo común, al trabajar en estrecha colaboración con el condado, con el Estado y con el gobierno federal para enfrentar esta crisis con urgencia. Desde el último conteo, más de 21,000 personas han sido albergadas, muchas de ellas en albergues y moteles a través de nuevos programas como Inside Safe y Pathway Home. Y quiero asegurarles que a los angelinos y a la prensa que comprendan que esta noche, cuando contamos, también los estaremos incluyendo a ellos. Antes de que ciertas protecciones contra el COVID se vencieran el pasado otoño, nos movilizamos con el fondo de la alcaldía para que los angelinos en riesgo de desalojo forzado supieran cómo acceder a los recursos de ayuda para permanecer en sus casas. Y nos vamos a movilizar otra vez más antes del 1 de febrero, cuando venzan otras protecciones debidas al COVID. Debido a esta situación, es posible que cuando las cifras del conteo sean publicadas, como quizás en junio, haya algún aumento en relación con el año anterior. Pero no hay que desanimarnos. Debemos continuar colaborando para enfrentar esta emergencia. Para unirse al conteo, visite por favor la página web theycountwillyou.org. Cada uno de nosotros tenemos la capacidad de ayudar a nuestros vecinos sin hogar. Esperamos que formen parte de este esfuerzo. Muchísimas gracias. It is now my honor to introduce my colleague Jason Pu from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
So, thank you, Chief Castro Ramirez, and good evening to everybody. I want to thank LAHSA and Dr. Adams-Kellum for the invitation, and Supervisors Horvath and Barger, Mayor Bass, Council President Krikorian, Councilmember Rahman, and Helen Schneider from the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, or USICH, for their ongoing leadership and partnership. I especially want to thank and appreciate Sean Pleasance for being here and for sharing your story. Sean and hundreds of others just like him are the true stars of these stories, and I could tell dozens of stories of individuals and families like him who have made their way out of homelessness and into safe, secure, and stable housing with the help of local partners like these and the utilization of HUD resources. As HUD Regional Administrator and as part of the Biden-Harris administration, it's an honor and I'm extremely proud to be part of this team, and it's a pleasure to serve under the leadership of HUD Secretary Marcia L. Fudge. The Biden-Harris administration remains committed to helping communities address the crisis of homelessness with the urgency that it requires. This work is especially important right now with the end of pandemic-era relief measures in communities throughout the country. During 2023 alone, in addition to the $2.8 billion in continuum of care funding that HUD has distributed nationwide, HUD also awarded 62 communities with an additional $486 million and approximately 3,300 additional vouchers as part of our Unsheltered and Rural Homelessness Initiative. The City and County of Los Angeles was one of the largest awards in the country with $60 million and almost 700 additional vouchers. In addition, HUD continues its work with communities across the country every single day to deploy a total of $5 billion in home ARP funds under the American Rescue Plan. Tonight, we begin the annual point-in-time count of people experiencing homelessness here in LA and in communities across the country. Many thanks to LAHSA and to Continuums of Care and to the tens of thousands of volunteers across the country who make this important annual count possible. It provides our best annual estimate of homelessness across the country and informs the annual Homelessness Assessment Report, or AHAR, that HUD must, by statute, provide to Congress every year. Here in LA, HUD has been working closely with LAHSA, the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, the Los Angeles County Development Authority, the City of Los Angeles, LA County, and USICH to make federal, state, and local resources work more seamlessly together. HUD, USICH, and these local partners have been doing tremendous work to make housing those experiencing homelessness easier and quicker, and to provide the wraparound services needed to help folks get onto a better pathway. So I want to thank and recognize all the partners involved: LAHSA, HACLA, LACTA, the county, the city, the state, service providers, philanthropic partners, and developers across the county for their hard work and dedication every single day, and for their partnership, alignment, and commitment to addressing homelessness throughout the county. As I've said before, decades of underinvestment in housing and services have created a very tall and a steep mountain to climb. But as the mayor has said, and others here, a tremendous amount of progress has been made over the past year. And we know we have much more work to do, and this work has never been more urgent and important. So as Secretary Fudge said, there's now a commitment that has never before, let me start over. I can't mess up the boss's quote here. As Secretary Fudge has said, there is now a commitment that was never there before to the degree that it is today. And so whatever it takes, we are willing to do. So many thanks to all the local leaders and service providers here for having that level of commitment and for the alignment, partnership, and collaboration that it takes to continue to make progress. So with that, I would like to introduce and hand the mic to Helen Schneider, Senior Regional Advisor for California for the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. Helen.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Helen Schneider, and I serve as California's Senior Regional Advisor covering for the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, which is a standalone federal interagency comprised of 19 different federal departments solely dedicated to preventing and ending homelessness in the United States. There are 6 of us around the country who are connected with thousands of leaders and community members who are right now this week also partaking in the point-in-time count. And the thousands of people here in Los Angeles are joining many, many others throughout the country with this critical service of providing good data in solidarity to help those most in need. And at USICH, we are small, but we connect, and that is what I think we're talking about tonight. If you think about our federal partner with HUD, which is who is requiring the point-in-time count, but getting to solutions requires so many more expertise from different areas. So in the federal government, you think of HHS, of labor, of education, Department of Justice, of FEMA, of the Department of the Interior, the White House, the AmeriCorps. 19 of us, as I like to say, USICH is the hub of the 19-spoke wheel to keep the issue moving forward. And just last week, our executive director met with Mayor Bass at the U.S. Conference of Mayors and with many mayors around the country, all dedicated to do what is necessary in helping those who are most at need. And I have to say that seeing what's going on in Los Angeles firsthand and how incredible this last year has been at all levels of government, not just with city, county, and local leaders, but the community themselves, with federal partners, with state partners, all trying to do the best that we can to help those most at need. And at USICH, we believe that housing is a human right and that homelessness is not a failure of people, but of systems. And it requires all of us to work together with the funding that we have to leverage it as much as we can so that the Shawns who are out there tonight in next year could be standing here and telling their story as they get housed. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you everyone for doing the work that you're doing to solve homelessness.